Mira's restaurant had always been the talk of the town. Known for its mouth-watering dishes, everyone who dined there left with a full belly and a curious mind. How does she do it? People often wondered. No one ever saw Mira with any assistance, yet her meals were always prepared swiftly and tasted delicious. "She's hiding something," a few regulars whispered amongst themselves, but no one dared ask Mira. Her temper was well known, especially when it came to her kitchen. On several occasions, Mira yelled at people who were about going into her kitchen because they thought she needed help. "Do not come into my kitchen," Mira yelled at them. One afternoon, a group of customers, including a young woman named Somi, sat at a corner table, watching Mira as she served dish after dish with a strange efficiency. Somi had dreams of becoming a chef, and Mira's restaurant intrigued her deeply. She wondered how Mira was able to cope, making all the dishes herself so fast and serving them too. "Have you ever seen anyone in her kitchen?" Somi asked the others, her voice low. "No," an elderly man replied, shaking his head. "And trust me, I've been coming here for years. She won't even let anyone get close to it." Somi's curiosity only grew with each passing day. Something about Mira's speed in the kitchen didn't add up. How could one person manage everything so perfectly? It was almost unnatural. One evening, after the last customer had left, Somi stayed behind, pretending to wait for her order to be packed. She watched as Mira disappeared into the kitchen. After a few moments of silence, Somi couldn't resist the temptation any longer. She moved quietly toward the kitchen window and peered inside. What she saw left her frozen in place. There, standing in front of the stove, was a shadowy, dark figure. It wasn't Mira. The figure moved swiftly, chopping, stirring, and frying with a skill that seemed supernatural. Somi's heart pounded in her chest as she stepped back from the window. "It's not Mira," she whispered to herself, disbelief washing over her. She was confused at what she saw and couldn't quite understand what was going on. Dear amazing viewers, you may be wondering what Mira was hiding and why she won't let anyone come into her kitchen. Please keep watching to find out. Before I continue, I would like to ask you to kindly subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Please click on the subscribe button. Much appreciation. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back and thank you so much. Now, back to the story. The next day, Somi returned, more determined than ever to uncover the truth. This time, she planned to sneak into the kitchen. If she could figure out Mira's secret, she might learn something valuable for her own culinary aspirations. She waited until the restaurant was empty again, then slipped into the kitchen through the back door. The room was eerily quiet. The smell of freshly cooked food still lingered in the air. Somi hid behind the kitchen counter, her heart racing. And then she saw it, the same dark figure, moving with unnatural speed and precision. It was the evil spirit, cooking with a dark energy that filled the room. Somi's breath caught in her throat. Before she could stop herself, a scream escaped her lips. Somi was shocked, scared, and overwhelmed by the presence of what she could not easily explain. The spirit vanished in an instant, and Mira burst into the kitchen, her face twisted in fury. "What have you done?" she shrieked, her eyes wide with panic. "Did I not warn you not to come into my kitchen?" Somi stumbled to her feet, her voice shaking. "Mira, what is that thing? Who was cooking?" she asked, trembling. But Mira didn't answer. Her gaze darted around the kitchen, fear spreading across her face. She was very furious at Somi for not respecting her wishes to stay out of her kitchen. Suddenly, flames erupted from the stove. The fire spread quickly, licking at the walls and countertops. Both women ran for their lives as the kitchen became engulfed in flames. Outside, Mira watched helplessly as her beloved restaurant burned to the ground. Tears streamed down her face, but they weren't just from the loss of her business. She knew, deep down, that this was her doing. Her greed, her desperation to become rich and successful, had led her to make a deal with the devil. Somi stood beside her, still trembling. "Mira, what happened? Why did this happen?" Mira turned to her, her face pale and haunted. "It's all my fault," she whispered. "I made a deal, a terrible deal. That thing you saw in the kitchen, it's an evil spirit. I thought I could control it, but I was wrong." Somi's eyes widened in shock. "A spirit? But why? How?" Mira wiped her tears, her voice shaking as she explained. "When I first started this restaurant, I was in so much debt. I didn't know how I was going to make it. Then one day, I bought a pot from the market. I didn't know it was cursed. The next morning, I woke up and found the food already cooked. The customers loved it, and I thought my problems were solved. But the spirit, it made a deal with me. It would cook for me, make me rich, but no one else could ever come into my kitchen. If anyone did, everything would fall apart." Somi stared at Mira, speechless. "So, the spirit was cooking all this time?" Mira nodded, her shoulders slumping in defeat. "Yes, I didn't think anyone would ever find out. But now, it's over. Everything's gone." As the fire continued to rage, consuming the last remnants of Mira's once thriving restaurant, a deep sense of regret washed over her. She had traded her integrity for wealth, and now she had nothing to show for it. "I'm sorry," Somi whispered, feeling a mix of guilt and confusion. "I didn't mean to cause this." Mira shook her head. "It's not your fault. This was bound to happen. I should have never made that deal in the first place." Days passed, and the smoldering ruins of Mira's restaurant became a stark reminder of the choices she had made. She had lost everything: her business, her reputation, her dream. But as she sat amidst the ashes, she realized that perhaps this was her second chance. "I'll start again," Mira muttered to herself, determination flickering in her eyes. "But this time, I'll do it the right way." Somi, who had been visiting every day since the fire, approached Mira cautiously. "Mira, if you ever need help, I'd love to work with you. I've always admired your skills." Mira looked at her, a soft smile finally breaking through her sadness. "Thank you, Somi. Maybe we can start fresh. But this time, no shortcuts. We'll do it with our own hands." And so, Mira began rebuilding her life, brick by brick, dish by dish. She was no longer driven by the desire for wealth, but by the love of her craft. Somi stood by her side, learning and growing, grateful for the chance to work with someone she had always admired. Months later, Mira opened a new restaurant, smaller than the last, but filled with warmth and honesty. The customers returned, not just for the food, but for the story of a woman who had learned the hard way that there was dignity in labor and that shortcuts, no matter how tempting, always come with a price. This time, Mira cooked every meal herself, and though the work was hard, the satisfaction was real. Each dish was a reminder that true success was earned, not given. As for the cursed pot, Mira buried it deep in the forest, vowing never to let greed cloud her judgment again. And from that day forward, her kitchen remained her sanctuary, but this time, without any dark secrets lurking in the shadows. The end. Thank you for watching. Kindly subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed yet. please click on the subscribe button and like this video. Be a part of my channel's growth by clicking on the next video on the screen and drop a comment to let me know what you think about the story. Much appreciation.